Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Big R. As you know, that the Big R touches on all aspects of life. And one of those aspects of life is football. Football is very important. It brings entertainment. It brings life to our life. So it's very important. So it keeps us going. It keeps us busy. And you know the principle of the Big R are nothing else but the positive R words like responsibility, results, reflect, review, relationship, resilience, name them, all those positive R words. So you are aware that as the Big R, we are starting to forge a relationship with Bloemfontein Celtics. Of course, we are also looking to forge a relationship with other teams, but we said we started with Celtics, we came on board. So today we are having a Celtic festive in this slot. And then I have Ntate Stefane there, who's in Pretoria, Tshwane, Celtic supporter. I have Thapelo Walker from Bloemfontein. I have Pule from Bloemfontein. And then I see that Katie from Tembisa, also a Bloemfontein Celtics, was also trying to join us. And my co-host, Mkhonza, who's always with me. We are waiting for Jacob to join us. Let's hope he's going to join us. Guys, welcome to the show.
Good morning, and as we usually say, Tsoaeli.
Welcome. Okay. Okay. Hello, fella, bro. Now, guys, you know, last week, I think it was on Monday, I was interviewing Silondona. We touched on the number of subjects. It was prior to the game. And you guys were going to play on Wednesday. And one of the things that I touched on that day was, you know, Celtics. Remember Mangayu United, Bloemfontein Celtics, Real Hearts. Those were like a yo-yo team. You know, they'll go up, they'll go down, they'll go up, they'll go down, you know, all those things. But I think Celtics has stopped that tendency now. They are consistent. Moreover, when you look like this year, they are doing extremely well. All right? So I don't know. What do you want to attribute this to? Tsoaeli. Let me start with Ntate Stefan. Why Celtics is playing so well according to you?
Thank you very much, Ntate Saubrey.
Yes.
I think, you know, Celtic has been playing a very good football game. And then if you take the history of Celtic in short, you started from Ntate Molemela. Ntate Molemela was believing in the development of young people. Then always was taking the young people. And then the other thing is the sharpening of players when they get to Bloemfontein Celtics. You can attest to that. Whoever who comes to Bloemfontein Celtics, Celtics will sharpen that person and make that person to be known. Then that's when other team will start to come and grab. You name people like Keseabetswe, you name people like Mado, you name Khompokekana, you name Thapelo Morena. They've been sharpened in the University of Soccer in Bloemfontein. So it is there, it is given. You give us something, we put it in the right direction. That's how Celtic goes. So now, the result that we are seeing now, they are showing exactly that. So that's the motto of Celtics. That's how we are. Thank
you. Ntate Walker, we're now ring one amme. Mr. Mkhonza, I don't see you. I want to see your face.
As you can take a look at the Premier League, check the top players that we have in the Premier League. most of them but go Bloemfontein Celtics. That is why Khale ba Romainere Bloemfontein Celtics ki academy ya PSL. They used to say that. So yeah, Bloemfontein Celtics is a good team. Yeah.
Ntate Pule, ya tseba wena
brother.
uchomi ya botha wena ngwana mme. Likoka wena le botha. What can you tell me ngwana mme?
No, I'm a friend to everyone, and that is Stephanie can attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a friend to everyone. However, reverting back to your question, my brother.
Yes.
You know, to us, Bloemfontein Celtic is not the team that we support. To us, Bloemfontein Celtic is a way of life. To a certain degree, we believe it is even more vital than life itself. You see, Bloemfontein Celtic, looking at the current display and performances, my co-friends have already alluded to the fact that we have an awesome development structure. And it has always been the history of Bloemfontein Celtic. Yesterday, I was doing an interview with a legendary Eden Moleko Katango, who was playing for the club in 1985 when we won the Mainstay Cup. We were speaking buoyantly about the current club, the current team, and he mentioned something very pivotal. He said the current crop of players reminds him of the class of 1985, where we had sensational players like Abu Kilam Kwanas. We had awesome players like NS Crusader Chiruali, Albert Sibia, Frank Rapulani, Farouk Nkuna. Now he was mentioning players like Ndumiso Mabena. He was saying Ndumiso Mabena, he's not just an ordinary player. He's sheer class. He's got soccer brain. He's one of those players that reminds me of one of the players that used to play for Bloemfontein Celtic from Tennessee, the late Stagato Kenny Mudukanele. He was very slow, just like Ndumiso Mabena. He had this decoy type of body that you don't understand. You might think that he's a lazy person from a distance. However, his soccer brain is humongous, to say the least. And also, most importantly, my brother, is the spirit that has been kept by the supporters. Ntate Stephanie can attest to that again. That our support to the players, whether they play, whether we see them or we don't see them, our telepathy, our spiritual connection towards the players is also what makes them strong, because they know that there are multitudes of supporters behind them. They know that we love the club, but most importantly, we love them so much. And lastly, in that regard, you know, the good thing about the current crop of players is that I remember conspicuously when I was still working at the club, you had players that come from the dusty streets of Mangaung. You know, you have Tumi Mangweni, who comes from Phase 6. You have Neoma Ema, who comes from Phase 6. You have Tebogo Potsane, who comes from Teflachte. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is when you have players that were born and bred in the dusty streets of Mangaung, that will understand the culture of Mangaung even before they can play for the club. It becomes much more easier because this kind of players, they have been to schools whereby they have seen and they have also supported Bloemfontein Celtic. Now, when you have a proper structure or in terms of development like we are currently having, it builds into the future, and that is exactly what we are achieving. Lastly, if you check the team that is going to play at DR Congo, is that MDC team, because we have depth in the club because of our development.
Okay. Don't be surprised when you see that KD is struggling. KD is not far from me. He's here in Tembisa. And I must tell you guys, it's raining cats and dogs. There is lightning. I don't know, Roy, in your area there, is it the same thing that is happening? It's raining cats and dogs. So the internet might not be stable. So if anything happens, so you'll understand. So I heard your input I would have loved to hear from KD, but I can see that she's struggling. Roy, having listened to what the Celtic fans are saying, and I want to pick up on what Pule said, but I'll come after you. But what do you want to say based on what they said? Thapelo has just disappeared. Thapelo, come in. Yes, Roy.
Well, Saubrey, greetings to the guys. I'll be controversial a bit, Saubrey, to you. Not because I'm saying what you're saying and what the guys are saying. It's actually not true. Let me just give you, if I'm not mistaken, the guys can correct me. If guys like Tsoaeli was part of Celtic at some point, Spandiel at some point. So my controversy is in two ways. So but I'm not sure if you are going to go to the. I just want to check with the guys on this one. My problem with Celtics, I think we discussed with you last week, the kind of play they playing. So with Maduga and the other coach who went to Bay. Yeah, I was saying with these co-host coaches now with Maduga and other, there was the old man and that I think the tall man, he stayed with Celtic for some time coaching them. I always had a problem with Celtics. They start well and falter towards the end of the season, or they start bad and then they pick up in the middle and go up. And my only problem is consistency. They touched on players coming from the dust streets of Mangaung, which is good. And I feel once a player grows in the system and understands the culture, it makes it better. But my problem is consistency. You see, like I said, when they play Cape Town City, I said, watch that game. It's going to be very interesting because the kind of play Celtics is playing with the young boys and the kind of system that coach for Cape Town City is using, it's going to be interesting. And what was the score? 3-1. We talked with you. By halftime, it was already 3-1. I don't know whether it ended up with that score or late. It was the final score was 3-2. But I told you that by halftime, it was already 3-1. And that's where my problem is, consistency. So I wonder if the guys can comment on that to say, that brand, for me, I still feel if you could have fans like the Celtics people, from where we think now in Africa we're the best, if we could have such fans with all the teams, I'm telling you, so we'll go somewhere. Maybe the other controversy, I wanted to, let me just park it for now and hear what they say on what I've just said.
So I'm sure you picked up, gentlemen, and then I hope you want to respond to that. And then I also wanted to say, before you respond, you said the players were from the dusty streets of Mangaung. What does that mean? Does that mean that Celtics will be confined to Bloemfontein, or Celtics should be considered as the national brand? In your response, I want you to take what Mr. Mkhonza said in terms of consistency.
Can I go before the Pule?
Before, yeah, anyone can respond, but who wants to start first?
I want to start.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay, that is Steani, come in. I see Walker's.
I think you'll know and you'll remember that in football there is no therefore. Though we are playing a marvelous game, but remember other clubs also, they are playing on us. You can play a top football this weekend, come next weekend, then you are down. You remember our game, our MTN game between Sundowns and Celtic? People have just wrote us off in that particular game. What happened? We are playing with the champion there. So hence I'm saying the game of football, there is no devil in it because we are having 11 players aside. And remember, tactics, they goes to the plan of that particular day. Remember, is a means or a hit here. We have learned in Celtic that there is others that you win, there is others that you lose. That's the spirit. About the dusty street of Bloemfontein, I think this is to say, it's not to say Celtics is not a national team. Celtic is a big team and a national team. But remember, it is also important to showcase the talent that is in Bloemfontein because Celtics is based in Bloemfontein. So it's nice when we have some other people that we can relate to so that we as supporters, we can have ownership and say, those are one of us. I think that's the only thing that we'll always talk about, that club in Bloemfontein Celtic is saving people from Bloemfontein Celtic. And to correct it is Bloemfontein Celtic, not Celtics. Okay. I thank you.
Yeah, they've tried to correct me many times. I think I always forget. I always say Celtics. All right, let's allow Pule. Yes.
Saubrey, before Pule comes in, I want to just to correct Mr. Steani. You see, guys, this is a modern soccer. I said that word consistency. I thought you'll respond to that. There is no therefore years in soccer, but it can't be for 15 years. Like I said, you start well, in the middle of the season, you go down up until you fight for relegation or fight for top 8. Come the next season, you start bad. In the middle of the season, you then pick up. Come the next one, you start very well or you start badly. Towards the end, you pick up until you fight for. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, there is no therefore. What I was asking from the guys is consistency. And with the players that grow up with the system and having analyzed what I'm talking about, as their fans, when they meet them, to either newly recruited or old players, talk about what I've just noticed. I'm not a Celtics fan or supporter, but I've seen this, that these guys, which season, whether they are good or bad, but producing players and other stuff. But at some point, they will start very well and very bad, or start very bad and very well. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, I'm sure, Pule, you heard what Roy said. And then yes. I see that Kees is trying to join us, and hopefully she'll be able to join us. So Pule, respond on what he said before we move to another subject, looking at Celtics. Yes, Pule.
Just to be quick, also adding on what Ntate Steani was saying. When we speak of the dusty streets, Bloemfontein Celtic has its own culture, just like each and every team. And sometimes when we speak about players that were born and bred, specifically in Bloemfontein, we are basically saying it's like when Orlando Pirates used to have Joe Musono. And you'll know that the people of Orlando, you'll have people that will automatically go to stadium because not necessarily because they support Orlando Pirates, but because they are there to support Ujo Musono, who was born and bred Kokasi. You had that during the era of Dr. Kumalo at Kaizer Chiefs. Now, I'm saying that because once you don't have such individuals that you can identify with the brand and they are not born in Kokasi, you have this negative attitude towards Abantu to say, but is this a Bloemfontein team? Remember, as much as we are a Bloemfontein national team, Bloemfontein Celtic was formed and formulated in Bloemfontein. So you need to start there. And also remember, my brother, we are not talking about half of the squad. We are merely talking about 3 or 4 players. The rest of the players, they come from all over the globe, in Africa and so forth. Yes, but just lastly,
Yeah.
Okay, are you still on?
Yeah,
Are you still okay?
Yeah.
Yes, and just to repeat, responding to my friend about consistency.
Consistency. Yeah.
Yes, I concur with that. However, a definition of consistency in football is very broad. Because if one can say to me, for an instance, a huge brand like Kaizer Chiefs is consistent, and I will ask them, what have they won in the past 5 years? How do you define consistency? Yes, maybe our problem is that we are fighting relegation. Maybe that is the problem. Okay. And then we are not consistent in that regard because, okay, most of the time we are fighting relegation. But my argument will then be, but you still have this brand that are financially viable with some massive sponsorships that are still struggling. So which also shows, because even our national team is struggling. So it's not about a Bloemfontein Celtic problem. This is about a national problem. The only thing that I can say to you is consistent in this country is Mamelodi Sundowns. The rest are the same. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm going to close on this one. But I think what Roy was saying, remember, guys, we reflect, which is one of the R words. All right? We look the other parts of the world. How do they do things? For instance, when he talks about consistency, Kaizer Chiefs that you are mentioning, Kaizer Chiefs has been consistent over the years. They have almost 50 trophies. And it's not only Kaizer Chiefs, Mamelodi Sundowns that you have mentioned. The past 5 years, they've been dominating. All right? That's consistent. You go abroad, you have a team like Barcelona. They've been consistent for almost 8 to 10 years. All right? That's what he's talking about. There was Manchester United at some point, very consistent. So Roy is not criticizing you guys. He says the issue of consistency must be addressed. So I don't think you need to take it in a very negative light. He says, he's a Chiefs fan. He says, reflect and review your position to say, you guys are doing well. I like the way you play. But if you can improve on the element of consistency.
We fully understand.
It's understood. So I'm gonna take a break, and then I'm gonna reconnect with you again, and then so that I can be able to take some water, and then and come back to you. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I had to go and drink my medication because you know some of us always have to take medication, and I've taken this moringa medication.
Ah, moringa.
Yeah, the big R moringa. To give me energy. Now, guys, let's move on from consistency. This is one thing that I said it to Silonduna last week, and I said it to Kees last week. I mean, on Monday. You know what worries me about Bloemfontein Celtics? When Ntate Mlemela was in charge, there was no support. Finally, Ntate Mlemela had to sell the team. And then Jimmy Agosto came in. There was a huge support. Then Tshabalala is in now. The support has dwindled. What could be the problem, guys? And for the benefit of those who are not there, I did ask Silonduna one of these questions to say, there are rumors there that players are not paid on time. And guess what he said? He said it has never happened. It happened only once, whereby they are signing on fees, if I'm not mistaken, could not cash in on the date that they expected it because of the different banking system. Because what was puzzling me, if really the players are not paid, why did they manage to retain all their squad? Because if the players are not paid, you should have seen it in the players, in terms of performance, in terms of them complaining in the media, but we never saw that. So as a result, what he said to me, that it was only once, I agreed with him. Now, that's not a question that I'm asking. The question that I'm asking is this. I'm talking to you Celtic fans. During the Temuleme, there was no support. Until to a point where the Temuleme said, I throw in the towel. Jimmy Agosti came in. The support just went to another level. Now it's Tshabalala. There's no support. I want to hear Celtic supporters talking. What's the story? Maybe let me start with Pule, and then let me welcome Jacob Selematsela, another Kaizer Chiefs fan. So I have two Kaizer Chiefs fans here, Jacob and Roy. Let's hear what I'm saying. Who want to start? Pule. I want to hear from you. Why? Why is that?
I want Kees to start. Let us give a chance.
Okay. He's running away from that
Why?
one.
Kees, I'm giving you a chance. Okay.
Yeah.
Kees,
Yes.
Kees,
Mm-hmm.
all protocol observed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Protocol dictates. Yes. So, Bibian.
Because I want
Okay.
to know why.
I think in the past, the love of football, I don't know how can I put it, but then people back in the past, they loved football, it was not just a hobby, it was a thing that they used to live for. Some would even go out there to, just to go find money just to put bread on the table. I don't know.
And then Thapelo, what could be the problem? What is happening? Why? I'm challenging you now as Celtic supporters, because this is a problem. This is a normality that you need to sort it out. Remember the reason why we do this. We want to build you guys. We give you a slot. We want you to build your team. We want to build Celtics. You're going to build Celtic by reflecting and pointing out the mistake and reporting to each other as one of those R words and start building the team. You don't have answers, Thapelo? Let me hear Stefano.
I do have answers.
Yeah, what could be the reason?
Regarding the finance part of Bloemfontein Celtics, I know there's been a lot of issues. But all I've been praying for Bloemfontein Celtics one day were financially stable, because financing is affecting Bloemfontein Celtics recently. I don't know much about that.
No, I just said to you, I spoke to Silondona. He said it only happened once. All right? And I agree with him. You know why I agree with him? Why they retain all the players? Why the players are playing such a beautiful football? So that could be a rumor. What you are saying, it could just be a rumor. It could just be a rumor.
Yes,
remember,
I agree.
Okay.
Rumors destroy. It could be a rumor what you are saying. I'm saying I was listening to Silo talking about the fact, not to say I agree with what he said, but if I do my own observation, I see that no, they retain all the players and they're playing beautiful football. If they're not paid, of course, they were not going to be consistent. Pule, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, look, I think it's a simple thing. The team has grown in leaps and bounds during the era of Jimmy Agasti. during the era of Ntate Molemela, most of the people were not necessarily supporting Bloemfontein Celtic. They were supporting other teams. And what actually happened when the Lebogang Kukame story came and Bloemfontein Celtic was relegated, and of which each and everyone, more especially in Free State, felt that that was done in a wrong way during the Andrew Dipela era. Everyone started supporting Bloemfontein Celtic because they actually wanted Bloemfontein Celtic to return to the PSL. We were playing in the first division, if you remember by then. And even the decision that was taken thereof in a general meeting of supporters, by these supporters, that games were not paid for National First Division. It was then called the Mvela League, if you remember. But the supporters of Bloemfontein Celtic felt like for each and every specific game that we're going to be played home, we must pay 10 rands at the gates. Because we felt like the club has to gain some money for them to be able to sustain the club and return the club to the PSL. It was a mission that was supported by all and sundry. I guess even those that are incarcerated in jail, because people of Mangaung felt bitter. They felt like they were not treated fairly by Andrew Dipela and his cronies. However, during the Ntate Tshabalala era, if you can remember conspicuously, when we started, the numbers were still there. However, it's not a secret that there were some misunderstanding between the supporters and the management of the club. And gradually and eventually, supporters started not going to the stadium. You see, there is a difference between not supporting the club and not going to the stadium. Bloemfontein Celtic supporters are not armchair supporters, like you have alluded. We used to pick say Saramabodu Stadium with something like 22,000 spectators. However, when problems started between the management and the supporters, yes, it affected the attendance of the game. And remember, not all the supporters react to a situation the same way. They react differently. There are those who say, I will go to the stadium and support the players even if I'm not happy at the management. There are those who say, I'm not going to give Celtic my money because perhaps maybe the management doesn't recognize the supporters. I'm just making an example. So yes, it's not a secret that there were problems that affected the attendance of the supporters at the stadium. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not something that can be rectified. You have spoken eloquently on how do we redeem ourselves as a brand. And I think it is absolutely imperative for us to do that. Whether we like it or not, gradually and eventually, somewhere, somehow, whether it is the management that are at fault, whether the supporters that are at fault, somewhere, somehow, we must find a common ground in building this massive brand.
Okay. Now, I don't know whether Ntate Steani, you want to come in. I want to hear the Celtic supporters. Now, those problems, as we speak now, are they resolved? Because I'll tell you why. Okay. Let me get an answer there. Are they resolved according to you, Pule, so that we have the same vision?
Not yet, because it's an issue of the National Executive Committee of Supporters and the management. Remember, there is a structure that runs the supporters club. There is a structure that was elected. Bloemfontein Celtic supporters have a structure that we have followed even during the era of Ntate Molemela. And this structure, it has to be respected. As Pule Malebo, there is absolutely nothing that I can say. Ntate Steani is part of that structure. However, what I know, because Ntate Steani, we go all over the country launching and relaunching branches. What I know is that at the moment, there is still a stalemate. That is why I say I hope and only hope that eventually these problems are amicably solved for the sake of this beautiful brand.
Okay. Ntate Steani, do you want to add?
From me, I'll differ a little bit with you to say supporters were going down and going up. I'm not sure whether I'm too positive or what, because whenever I get to the stadium, I see that we are enough. Everywhere I go, I see Celtic supporters. So it is fine because it's in their eyes to say they were going up and down at whatever time and what they view. Unfortunately, but I'm too positive for this team, for this way of life. Now, to be honest with you, I'll agree with Pule to say, yes, there are some misunderstanding between supporters and management at the moment, but I'm positive that those will be solved. Definitely, we have to get a common ground. And I think it's a question of time, then everything will be back to normality. Thank you.
All right. Jacob, I don't know whether you want to come in. I see that Roy has raised his hands.
My brother.
Let me hear Jay. Remember, we started this program, and then I said, let's focus on Celtics because we want to build these teams. Football is us. Football is us. So Celtic is a pride, has been a pride, and we want to see Celtic coming back, being a pride again. I hear that there's Stefano, you are positive, but the truth of the matter is I would see Celtics here in Tembisa bringing a whole lot of people. I don't see it anymore. You may try to sugarcoat it and what have you. We want Celtics to go back where it was.
Tshabalala, I'm running out of data.
Oh, you're running out of data. Kima? Okay, all right, Thapelo, maybe comment before your data finish ups on what they've said. Because I want us to build Celtic, guys. I want your contribution and tell me in the spirit that they've already said, what do you want to add?
Ntate Pule le Ntate Stefano ke nana ba buile a le sene ke tlo e bua ntate wa ka se ba nkarabetse dipotso tseo.
Okay. You are also saying we need to build a team.
Yes.
Okay. So one of those R words is relationship. Now, guys, I want you to amend the relationship where you think the relationship are not well. Just amend them so that we build this team. Roy, come in. I see Keseabetswe has gone. Roy?
Saubrey, I wanted to say something, man, while the guys, when Pule started and then Tabiso came in, I wanted maybe, so that maybe we are clear and we must differentiate. If you talk of support, I remember before we took a break, I said, if we could be like Celtics, whether it's Sundowns, whether it's all the teams, in terms of the brand that we are the best in Africa, will be there at the top. So I'm going to that point. You see, support, guys, it's like when you say, I give my kid 50 rand every day when he goes to school. I pay the school fees. It doesn't end there. You've just touched on something now, relationship. So, and I don't want to get into deep because I may not be privileged in terms of information. But my take is, I still feel in terms of supporters and Celtics, they're still fine. That's my own take. But in terms of support, you see this thing, Saubrey, it involves a lot of things. I'll just give an example. You go to soccer, there's soccer politics. You go to church, there's politics in church. And then there's politics in general of parties. I listened the other day when the SG was speaking outside the court. He made a reference to say, go to the Tsoaeli people and ask at some point, were we not giving them money? So it goes back to what you've just said in terms of relationships. Whether it was Ntate, the relationships then, they were very fine in giving him money, but when the other guy took over, they felt, no, we can't. So it goes back to your point of relationships. But in terms of support, I still feel they are fine. It's just those dynamics of whether now I want to give this guy's money. If it's this one, no, I must hold my money because I don't feel Celtics is their right hands. That's my take in terms of relationship. But the controversial one I wanted to raise, I heard Pule saying is close to Botha. I just want to check, guys. Don't you think at some point, and I'm talking to the right team, that I feel every support, you see, when you guys, you do your thing at the stadium, I feel at some point I must change my J's, but yeah, I'm a course for life. But I've got that one thing, that don't you think elevating some other people more than other fans is killing some of these things that we're talking about? Because you remember at some point, we had these things at Chiefs. People like Saddam, you remember Jebe, you remember Mgu, the guy who fell from the roof, you remember Bomachaka now. At some point, some people think they're just they're there, and the others are just normal. So don't you think some of these things are contributing towards this friction between at some point with supporters and management? Don't you think? What's your point? That's the controversy I wanted to put in, Saubrey.
Okay. I'm sure Ntate Stefano wants to respond. I don't know whether Jacob, as a bystander, you want to come in, but let me allow Ntate Stefano to come in.
Sure. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. In Celtic, we do not have number one supporter. We are all number one. Now, the question of Botha, when you see Botha on television, Super Sport and what have you, Botha has elevated himself. Botha is a soccer-loving person who goes to all the matches. You will see Botha in Sundowns, you will see Botha in Super Sport, you will see Botha in Durban, in Cape Town, and what have you. That's the spirit. I think anyone can do that. If we have time and we have money, we can do that. So in Celtics, there is no super supporter. There is no number one supporter. We are all number one. I think I've tried to answer that.
Okay. Pule?
Look, I understand Kosi for Life's concern. However, it is prudent for us to mention, like Ntate Stefani has said, whether you like it or not, there are self-proclaimed individuals in any structure. It's not only Botha Msila. Unfortunately, Botha is the most popular one. We have also a lady in Johannesburg called Mamello Maka, whom I have groomed as a kiddies corner, a lady at the age of about 9, 10 by then. She also blossomed on her own. And she knows that she's not a number one supporter. She's not a super fan. All these times we hear them from other teams because perhaps that is how they operate. But at Celtic, even the late Bishop Manny, who was termed the number one supporter, he knew that even before he passed on, he was not number one supporter. He was equivalent to the entire. But the issue of Botha, it is his passion and zeal to become someone who's seen all over the globe. It was his personal plan. I remember we were doing Kiddies Corner with Botha. Remember, I started traveling these games. He was at my house. We were discussing issues on what do we want to do and so forth. He started telling me exactly what he wants to be. And if an individual says, Pule, I want to see myself traveling to Cairo or any part in the world hiking just to watch football because it's my passion. You cannot deny him. He's got his own democratic right as an individual, but he has never been given the title at Bloemfontein Celtic. Remember, we won Supporters Award for 2 seasons up until the PSL decided, no. We just have to deal away with this because obviously this ones will win it up until eternity. Even then, it was not about Pule or Bota or Mamelo, whoever. It was about Celtic supporters winning the trophy. And that is the spirit within the Bloemfontein Celtic team.
I'll tell one thing. I don't think Roy was a little bit critical. He was just asking a question. And then you guys have answered very perfectly. Both love football. And both
Yes.
want to be everywhere. So for Roy, he wanted to find out whether that could be the contributing factor. So I'm sure
No,
what
not at all.
has been answered as far as that is concerned. So that subject, I think we can pass on. The one thing that I also want to contribute is this. You know, one guy from another nation, I'm not going to mention that nation, he once said to me, them as a nation, they have a common kitty, all right? Now, one of their nationality is from overseas, is coming to South Africa. They don't go to the bank to ask for funding. What they do, they go to that kitty of their own nationality and say, I want to start a business with a business plan, and that organization will give him the money. And it's going to start, and they don't want repayment, but they give him a condition and say, once you are successful, you are going to contribute so much eternally. So in other words, it's not going to stop. For one simple reason, so that that kitty does not deplete. They say a guy from their nation can come with nothing, but come 2-3 years, the guy is rich all of a sudden, all right? So, and if that is not far-fetched from us, black people. We have what you call stokvel, little money that we contribute, all right? And I was saying in that interview with Botha and Kees, what stops us and support us, I hear you're talking about money, contributing the rands, contributing the 2 rands, the 5 rands, all right? And then I say there's this other nationality. They've made it a point that as a group, each and every family contribute 200 rand. This is what I picked up from Grapevine. 200 rand, and they are 2 million. So at the end of the day, every month they collect about 200 million. They have enough. I'm not saying let us not do for sponsor. I'm saying what also stops us to be self-reliant. Remember, reliant is one of those positive R words. I'm just asking questions, and I'm talking to you as Bloemfontein Celtic supporters to go and think outside the box, all right? Whereby we don't just complain, there's a money problem, you know, issue of relationship, you know, let's communicate, let's address each other so that at the end of the day, we understand each other. That's all I wanted to say. And then before I can allow you, because I see we have a little time now, let me allow Jacob, because Jacob has not been saying anything since he joined us. I want you to contribute to all what we have discussed, because as we post this thing this morning, everybody will hear what we talked about. The management of Celtics, they will hear. And remember, it will be a reflection and review and see how do we build Celtics. Remember I said, rebuild is one of those positive arrows. We want to rebuild this brand that Roy was saying, it's a pride of us in Africa. Jackie, come in.
Of course, Selematsela.
Arnat boy. Arna stress.
Ntate Tshabalala le Ntate Mkhonza ke a dumedisa kaofela.
Yes.
Ntate Tshabalala, what's about the topic e re tshwereng today e monate haholo. Go na le something e re bitsa ke brand. Wa bona this whole thing ya Celtic gore di-fan di be di kwate di lwane le management o be le that kind of a confusion e jwalo. Nna personal I think gore go na le ntho e re bitsa ke damage of a brand e etseng internally. Basically what I'm thinking gore management was not transparent ka some of the issues tse lo ne di etsahala, and then the media will hear a certain story then by blow out of proportion ka tsela e itseng. At the end of the day, I feel mo di supporters tsa Celtic, but we're giving ourselves nako for Celtic, we're giving support, we're giving our money, and then end of the day we're not getting anything in return, but treat us as if we are nothing. So in return ba retaliate le bona ba no le rena tla wela morao re ska go stadium for a certain period. Mara ntho ke football ha ona le yona o na le yona mo pilong ka se utswe o ka se lahle. So ba buile he jwale ba supporta bashimane. Nna ke feel gore management ba bile azange ba transparent hantle mo di support ba botse di nnete gore o etsalang. Yes, the financial problems is thing, and it's not only Celtic and a problem eo. The team go fela tse di rekisiwa because of the finances. So it's not something new. Ke ntho le re management ba tshwantse ba embrace ba understand gore each and every team na le di problems tsa tšhelete. So it's very important to keep the brand alive. Very important to make sure the stakeholders, the supporters of Celtic, they know what is happening within within the team. Who scouted the rumors, it's a media, how it's like this, how it's like that, and at the end of the day, the brand gabion. So the brand was damaged because of the so-called rumors, little confusion, so the most important thing, Ntate Nduna, what I like about him, how mocho ya Ntate Chumana as Ntate Chumana santsana teng o tla o tlhalosetsa from point A hore how le so re tloetsa so how le so re tloetsa so re tlo solve a problem e so le etse so a ke tsebe go etsaetseng communication azange ya ba teng like the way it used to be. So ska lebala hore football ke sport sa ile re spele mo pelong ya rona le nna nka retaliate. So the brand ila damagewa mara what I like about it, the new director, the shareholder, he made the team to be stable. So which tells you, the big R ways. The relationship between the management and the supporters, which are the stakeholders, was not positive. So now it's becoming stable, and then now there is that trust and that relationship. And as a result, the result is Celtic are back, Celtic are playing good football. And what I like about it, they didn't import a coach from overseas, only the UEFA license, whatever. They took it from home. He raised his hand. I'm here. Take me on. And then Bamu feel opportunity. Ba feel that opportunity until I am more young thing, of which is good. We are grooming our own coaches. Now I'm just saying, congratulations to the management at Celtic, congratulations to the fans at Celtic, because everyone hurry. How do you recover from a conflicting kind of a situation? Kimo Celtic is playing good, and people are undermining Celtic. I can tell you, the final, Sundowns might see flames.
Guys, I'm about to close, and then I want to close on a positive note. Celtic is doing well. I listened to Ntate Nduna as I said to you, and what he said, not necessarily what he said, I back it up with the facts that I can observe, that I see the players have been retained. The players are playing well. Because we need to be very careful about rumors, people. Rumors can damage. And rumors can come from anywhere. can come from your rivalry. So you need to be very careful. Pule, Ntate Stephanie, both, all of you, Kees, engage the management, relate as part of the R words, communicate. And then so that we want to see, Marcele, those who helped us to bring the World Cup. Because remember, Celtics supporters were also used to convince the world that we have vibrant supporters. Shall we go back there? And I've given you examples of other nations that come together, of which us, as black people, we also do it. And Celtic was the only team that also had white supporters. More than 200 white supporters at some point attended the game. We want to come back, okay? So that is why, because our show, it's about rebuilding. Our show, it's about relationship. So that is why. And your management will see this. And hopefully next time, because I'm going to continue to host Celtics, let's talk, rebuild. You'll be telling me positive news. But guys, I really thank you for coming. Pule, I know you work very hard to ensure that I get all these other supporters. Kees, Ntate Stephanie. Remember, the big R is home, guys. I'll always call you from time to time. And let's talk to some of the fans. They must have enough data because I see some disappeared because of the data. But nevertheless, guys, like I said, Biki Macmere. 1 rand, 2 rand, 5 rand will take us somewhere. Your closing remarks, all of you guys, before we close. That is Stefan.
If I take that moment, we are having a trust fund. So we are inviting you to put your 2 cents also. I'll send you the banking details, Ntate Saubrey.
Okay.
So the stock has lent us that you can go somewhere. So we have started now.
All right.
Thank you.
As the trust fund, is it linked to the team? Or because we also have to be careful. Trust funds, and then it's not even linked to the team. You are enriching an individual. So we need to be careful. Let's look at all those things. Was that communicated to the team? I want all those facts to be addressed. Transparency is one of those key, all right? Pule, I'm not saying that trust fund is wrong, but I'm saying those details. For people to trust you, those details are important. Pule?
No, allow me to take this opportunity to thank you very much from the inner depth of my heart and the rest of the team, everyone who was here. And I also allow me to take this opportunity to wish our club, Bloemfontein Celtic, all the best. Rebapala KEF Confederation Cup this weekend, and subsequent to that, we've got league games. I must also thank multitudes of Celtic supporters for having been positive. I mean, this bunch of dedicated players, they need our support. And like I've said, and that Stephanie have said, eventually our problems will be solved. We all love Bloemfontein Celtic. This is our way of life. This is our only happiness. If one can understand and see when Celtic sing the songs at Dr. Molemela Stadium, how passionately they do, then one will realize that this is not the team that they support. This is a way of life. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thanks, my brother. We appreciate your contribution. We appreciate your contribution, Ntate Stephanie. Roy, your closing remarks?
Thanks. I'll just say good luck to the teams that are representing us in Africa.
Welcome back. Yeah, we are closing now. And then on the closing note, but before we close, I know Roy has to rush for another meeting quickly. So that is why we don't see him. We are not going to be long, guys, 5 minutes, and then we are done. By the way, you did a good thing. That's a positive thing. You played Kaizer Chiefs. You have Jacob there, a Kaizer Chiefs fan. What do you want to say about that game, guys? Let me start with you guys, or let me start with Jacob, who's a Kaizer Chiefs fan, and let me hear his views about the game before you come in, so that you can respond on what Jacob has said. Jackie?
Which game
as
are we
part
referring
of
to?
your closing. Yes.
Which game are we referring to?
Oh no, they were playing Black Leopards. They were not. Chiefs was playing Mroga Swallows. Black Leopards. Let's look at that game, which is a positive thing that has happened. And then Jackie, you'll also tell me. Let's start with you about Kaizer Chiefs and Mroga Swallows. What happened?
Like I said on Friday, it's going to be a very difficult game for both teams, and I was looking forward to seeing my top striker, which is Leonardo Castro, resurrected, and then scoring more goals for us. You know, football, if you don't have any luck, you don't have it. We need luck as well. So there's a goal that was scored by Kaizer Chiefs. Unfortunately, the referee decided not to allow it. And you know what? We can't talk much about it. That's water under the bridge. So we lost the game, and it was a very tough game for both of the teams. And what I like about it is that the combinations, my players did make good combinations. With Swallows, especially in the second half, it was a very good team, a very good play from both sides. Attacking kind of a football, but the first half it was dull. It was dead on both sides. But I'm still saying we will recover and we will bounce back as Amakosi. We are Kosi for life, and then we'll definitely bounce back. I predicted that we will win the score 1-0, and it became vice versa. And the second game, I predicted that Celtic is going to win 1-0, and it happened exactly like that. My reasons were that Celtic is playing that great football, and their captain, the top striker, he's playing very well at the moment. He's scoring goals left and right. And you know what? There is a structure in Celtic. There's that organization. There is that hunger. The new management that came into the picture has made the team to be very stable. And the supporters as well, their support, they're being there for the team. I want that Nduna in the office. They're doing a great job. So I'm looking forward to seeing Celtic even going to the final of this Cape Cup. That is a possibility. And the supporters, I'm saying, Ntate, remember Remakosi for life, but we love Celtic. So please keep on doing that good job, more Celtic, and we'll be there to support you guys. Malebo.
You have mentioned one of the positive R words. Kaizer Chiefs will recover. I love that. I love that spirit to say they'll recover. On that note, thank you, Jackie. And then keep on supporting the team. And then I hear Ntate Pule says he can't hear. And Ntate Stefan, maybe you need to sort out that side, because from my side, the mic, it's okay. I don't know what have you touched to make your to make you not to hear us, because I can hear Jacob. Pule, can you hear us?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So that day,
Yes.
Stefan, just sort out. Maybe while you're busy sorting out, then we'll talk to Pule. So, like I said, you have mentioned a very, very beautiful word, recover. Kaizer Chiefs will recover. Now, let me ask this question before we close. Remember, one of those R words is repeat. Are we going to see history repeating itself? What am I talking about here? We saw Leicester City in England going from the championship, going all the way, winning the championship, go to the Premier League, ending up winning the Premier League to become the Premier League champions. Are we going to see the repeat with Mroga Swallows?
No.
I'm saying, you know, when they say history repeats itself, I don't know whether it will be like that. And Ntate Pule, I see that you are saying you're struggling. Let me see what's wrong, because your mic is fine. I've muted it now. Let me unmute and see whether you can be able to hear us. Can you hear us now, Ntate? Now you can hear us. So repeat is one of those R words. You know, if you want to succeed, you continue to repeat. I'm saying, are we going to see the history repeating itself, whereby we see Morocco is doing what Leicester City did. Win the championship in England, go all the way to the Premier League, they win the championship. I'm saying, let's watch the space. I'm not saying it's gonna happen that way. I'm saying, let's watch. Maybe history will repeat itself. Now, this is what Jacob has said. Marcelo Sele, you did a marvelous thing. You won against Black Leopards, although it was a close call, 1-0, but it doesn't matter. A win is a win. You know, I was talking to somebody, said, now we went all the way to the final. People are not looking at the runners-up. People are looking at the winners. If I can ask you, who was the runners-up at the World Cup 98? People won't remember that. People will remember that France won the World Cup 98. People don't look at the runners-up. They just the winners. Now, guys, I want to hear from you. As your closing remark, you did well. And we are hoping that in Africa, we are crossing fingers. We are behind you. We want to see you doing well. The Cup final is still coming. We are still going to talk about that one. Who wants to start?
I can start now.
Okay, Pule, coming.
Yeah, the Black Leopard game. The team has done tremendously well. If you look at how we played, we were not as fluent as we wanted to be for the entire 90 minutes. However, the most important thing is that we accumulated 3 points, more especially at home, in preparation of our CAF game that we'll be playing. And also, most significantly, is the fact that certain fringe players like Tumi Mangweni were given the chance, and they performed with aplomb, which also shows clearly and distinctively that this club is a brand. We are able to build on players irrespective of where they come from. And looking forward at other games that we are going to play, we will build up from the same from the game that we have played on Wednesday. And there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that eventually Bloemfontein Celtic will get the rhythm, and players like Abundumiso Mabena, players like Abu Neo Mayema, players like Abu Masuku and the rest of the squad will continue performing to their maximum best for the love of this beautiful brand. Thank you very much.
I love it. You mentioned rhythm, one of the other positive R words. You get the momentum, the rhythm going on. I really love it. Stefani?
Yeah, you remember I mentioned that there is no therefore in football.
Yes.
If we have looked at that game, I think all two teams, they were up to win that one. It was a very difficult game, but at the end of the day, they were victorious. So we are happy for the 3 points, and I know that the last game doesn't determine what is coming. Hence, I'm saying this is a game of football. It's very nice. Let's enjoy it. And holla to our boys in DRC. We are behind them. That's the way. In the Celtic way, hella yalo.
Hella yeah. But I remember, Stephanie, you know, Roy was talking about consistency. I still want to see that consistency. You need to hammer on that consistency. Repeat the win, repeat the win, repeat the win until you conquer. And guys, in our closing remark, we want to pass our condolences to the family of Maradona, Armando Maradona. We lost one of the greatest players. Fortunately enough, I saw Maradona during his time at Napoli, World Cup 1986. He was a brilliant player. He was a brilliant player. And then we lost. We lost. And then Maradona gave hope to the Argentinians. Argentina is one of those countries, they are looking forward to people who can bring hope in terms of their idols. All right? So Maradona was one of those people. I think he has run his race. He lived a very fruitful life of 60 years. May his soul rest in peace. And along those lines, I want to add to say your PRO, Silonduna, indicated that I think he's already in PE, because this morning he was leaving for PE to go and bury a family member in PE today. So hopefully everybody, when he comes back, and then he will be having a safe journey back to Bloemfontein. Guys, I really thank you for showing up. You know, Celtic supporters, you are always enthusiastic. When I spoke to Pule, he was very enthusiastic and he was there. And you can see the passion when I talk to them, you know, and this is the kind of the vibrant that we want to see. Guys, I'm very proud of you, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.